Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined as always by Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning, Matt.
What is this cup that you have in front of you?
It's a purple one.
Well, what is that thing?
It's a swig.
Oh.
It is my swig. I, collect all kinds of cups, and so I figured it's springtime.
You always have something interesting in here.
I do. It would be great to have a USA Cares branded swig, though.
Ooh, well, if anybody from Swig is listening, let's make that happen.
Sure.
Well, welcome back. Alexis, we had last couple weeks are really pretty huge guests.
Yes.
And some pretty awesome content. We got a lot of good feedback from our listeners. And just thank you for everybody who makes this podcast possible. Every week we get some new subscribers. We get some people checking us out and learning about us for the first time. And we're just so excited that you join us every single week. If you are new to the USA Cares podcast, this is a podcast all about veterans and all about honoring those who have served our country and giving them some support, a little hope, a little encouragement. And I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and make this part of your weekly routine. So, Alexis, there are some people we need to thank before we get too deep into this today.
Yeah, I think we have a nice long list today, which is
you
great.
Want to maybe mention a few of them?
If I can read your writing.
You can't. I see you squinting. We got to get your readers out here.
Yeah.
Let's start with Cushman and Wakefield and Ernst Metal Technologies. Both companies really going out of their way to help with chapters around the country. Ernst Metal Technologies they sponsored a Top Golf event in Cincinnati area recently, and now they're going to be sponsoring a full-on golf outing in, I'm going to say it wrong.
It's May.
Yeah, I didn't write that date down.
That's okay.
But I believe you that it's in May, but
It
go
is.
to usacares.org and learn more about that. Cushman and Wakefield sponsoring a bunch of events around the country. There's so much opportunity. If your company is looking for a way to be philanthropic, a way to give back, a way to help veterans, these chapters are really the way to do it. Because you got all these spots around the country.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yep.
And you can get your employees tied into these events. So really a fun thing to do. We recently had Colin Wayne on from Red Line Steel. That was pretty awesome.
That was
cool. Colin's a pretty amazing guy.
I know. I love his energy and I love his drive.
Yeah.
Following him on Instagram, he's awake at like 3 a.m. and I'm.
Yeah, one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my
Yes.
life, but very impressive. But Red Line Steel does some really cool stuff, so definitely check them out. And then, of course, our friends at Hardee's and Carl's Jr. So if you are going to use your dollars for good, if you are going to have a voice with your spending money, use your money at places that support causes that you believe in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Hardee's and Carl's Jr. is doing. They are helping our veterans. They are doing Stars for Heroes. What is Stars for Heroes, Alexis?
Well, Stars for Heroes is when you go to a participating.
That's a tough word.
It is. Hardee's or Carl's Jr. location, and they ask you, do you want to buy a Star for Hero? You say yes. Yes, I do.
That is the correct answer.
Yep.
Yes.
There's no other correct answer other than yes. So you say yes, and you get to put your name on a star, and they stick your name up there on the wall, and you are helping veterans all over the country.
Unbelievable.
It's very easy.
It is.
Simple, easy.
The words aren't coming out very well for you today, are
know.
they? Words are hard. Roll or Die Informing is the last one I want to mention. Really incredible company. And they have really taken on veterans as their cause. They've supported us time and time again. They are now the headlining sponsor for our Valhalla golf outing coming up in September, which as of today, I believe is nearly sold out.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It's April.
It's April. So
cool.
Unbelievable. But a big thank you to Roll or Die Informing. Some other events coming up. We've got a virtual run right now. Talk about that because it's a lot of twos and I'm gonna mess it up.
Yep. So it's 22 miles in 2022 for the 22. And so basically what that means is you have until the end of 2022, this calendar year, to run 22 miles. And, you sign up online, you pay $22 and you run, bike, walk, swim, whatever you want to do, 22 miles. And that helps, those dollars go directly to support more veterans. And
You don't even have to run, really.
No, you can just pay your $22 and say, yeah, I did it. That's me.
Because you had this great New Year's resolution where you were going to run every day, and I think you ran once.
I ran twice.
Oh, right,
Thank
twice. Thanks. That's good.
I've
Not
ran-
to call you out on this, but just saying.
I have until the end of the year, Matt.
Other events coming up around the country. Operation Trace Bravo in Austin, Texas, May 26th. That is Bullets, Barbecue, and Bourbon. That is the most Texas event I have ever heard of. And it's a lot of fun. It's at the range at Austin. And definitely check that one out. Spots are selling quick, so get on that one. The USA Cares Gala is July 23rd in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. And then we've got a golf outing coming up for the Kentucky chapter in Lexington, Kentucky on August 8th.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
So much. This isn't even all of it.
I know.
So where could they go to see the rest of it?
Go to our website, usacares.org, and there's an upcoming events tab at the top. Click that button, and you'll see all of the things that we have going on.
There you go. And then, of course, check us out on the socials.
Of course, all the socials.
So today's episode, we decided it's going to be a little bit inside baseball today. A little bit of we're taking the podcast in house, and we've had Becca Kitto, who has been dying to be on this podcast. She's like, please let me be on, please. And I'm like, no, not yet. And she's like, today, I got to be on today. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, Becca, welcome.
Yes. Hi.
Are you just so pumped to be on?
I'm so very pumped, Matt.
Yeah,
I'm
I can
just-
tell.
I know.
You're just excited.
Very excited.
Well, this is the part of USA Cares that, gosh, we haven't had anybody from the program side on in a long time.
Since I've been here.
I don't think there's been anybody since I've been on either. So the program side, for those of you who aren't familiar, USA Cares, really, our mission is to reduce the factors that contribute to veteran suicide. So we get calls every single day from veterans who are in crisis. They are in need. They are in a tough spot. And Becca is one of those special people who takes those phone calls and works through these situations. And, it's tough. It is tough. But she's got a heart of gold, and she's there to help. And most days. Some days it's a little tough love, maybe.
Gotta have some tough skin, too.
You definitely have to have tough skin.
Yeah. So what is it that brought you to USA Cares? What is it that got you doing this and really made you want to help these veterans?
So
Welcome, by the
Right
way.
off the bat.
Hi. Yeah, great intro, Matt. It was actually Indeed.com.
Well, nice plug for Indeed. If you are looking for a job.
I currently connected to the military via my husband. We have 3 kids. Plug the month of the military kid also, which is April. So
Did you miss that one or did you promote that?
I
Alexis?
saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Because
it.
as marketing,
Don't
you
insult
should.
me.
I'm just saying.
You need to pay more attention to our
Sorry, Becca.
social media.
Carry on.
How dare you?
So I actually had been I graduated with my bachelor's degree in sociology last year
From
American Military University.
Nice.
Completely online, which was wonderful because
cool.
the whole moving around every few years is a little challenging. So I started my job hunt, and that was one of the first jobs that I saw was family resource specialist with USA Cares. Had no idea what you guys were, what this was, anything about it. But, I thought, I made the qualifications. So I applied, and
Here you are.
here I am. There's a whole fun story, behind that. But got the job, and it's nice, beside my husband, my brother also served. My dad served.
Wow.
Both grandpas, a few uncles,
Yeah.
cousins. I have a cousin currently serving in D.C. still.
So they excited that you're doing what you're doing?
She said fun story.
Yeah,
Oh.
I know. I think my brother's probably going to laugh and roll his eyes.
That's
but
funny.
You're putting her on, live radio. Oh my God. What are
You're
you
not
thinking?
live, but yeah.
Okay, sort of live.
No, it's cool. And you guys really, you all do the work that most people don't see. So they hear that we have these conversations with veterans. We say we, Alexis and I do, but we are not the ones who have these
Company as a whole,
conversations a
yeah.
lot of times. So I think it's tough. And I think in many cases, there's a blind eye turned to the situation with veterans. And people, it's something, it's like people don't want to see it. It's like,
Yeah, they don't.
keep that away. I don't really want to deal with that right now. So, what are some of the things that people call in with? What are some of the situations that you end up coming across with these veterans? Why are they calling in asking for help?
A lot of them. So I started out working Marlo. I think you guys have had Marlo on before, and that.
I don't know that we have. I asked her the other day, and she's like,
"Oh, you should get
no.
Marlo on."
The whole
again.
team was on early.
Marlo
Last year, I
said
think.
no. She looked me dead in the eye, and she said no.
I bet if you brought all of us on together as a team, that would.
That sounds
she
like
might do
trouble.
it. Oh, very much.
Yeah, I hear you. You're very loud at the other end of the hall.
Well, that's Jerry and I combined.
Okay,
So,
there you go.
know, we have the same birthday, Matt. Come on, give us a break. But no, Marlo gave me a lot of transition cases to begin. So transition, when we talk about that, that's veterans who have immediately ETS, retired, discharged from the military for whatever reason, whether it's, their end of service, retirement, medical discharge, med boards. A lot of them start out prepared. Some have savings ahead of time and some don't. And some are just kind of just caught blind. For a lot of people, they really don't know that when you leave the military, there are a lot of instances where your final pay is held because they have to go back and audit, and it takes 45 to 60 days.
Oh wow!
And a lot of people depend upon that last paycheck. That's part of their income, and it's they already know they're leaving, and that pay is going to drop off. But then you withhold that last pay that they were counting on for this amount of time, and it's, oh my God, there's a struggle. You compound that by the fact that when they retire, you've also got a weight with DFS, the VA, as far as retirement benefits, disability benefits. That pay is not right there when you're done. And that kind of catches some people unaware.
Yeah.
And if you're already in a tricky financial situation and you don't have the savings,
it's tough.
That's where we can.
That's one of the things that caught me off guard, I guess, a little bit when I came to USA Cares, and I'm hearing some of the stories. I guess some of it I expected, and some of it I didn't. But the ones that surprised me, Alexis, we talked to a veteran last week, and he was talking about an issue with paperwork with the VA. And he was 90 days without any payment at all. And they're like, well, don't worry, we'll get you caught up at the end. And he's like, but how do I live for the next 90 days?
Right.
Because you still have bills to pay.
Ended up, his house was foreclosed on the 91st day.
Yeah.
Because the payment was still late coming to him. So he lost his home. He lost his car. And they're like, well, and then all of a sudden this money comes in and it's too late.
Right. And most banks, they want what they want when they want it. Some will play ball with you and some won't. And
oh, by the way, we've got kids and
we've
got animals and we've got, all this stuff. Where do we go?
Your lights, your water, your car payment, your car insurance, your phone. How do you communicate to find a job when you've just retired or ETS?
Not to mention we just destroyed your credit.
Yeah.
So it's
a big mess sometimes.
So then they call us in those situations and they say, I'm at the end of my rope. I need some help. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you help? What do I do? Some really don't expect for there to be actual assistance with some things, and some do. There are some who are very surprised by what we can help with. Great story. And this one maybe, I'm not going to call the person out by name. Obviously I can't do that. There was one individual who had retired after I forget how many years of service, and they had saved up and had bought a home, and they had planned out and everything they were supposed to do. And then of course there comes that delay and that retirement and the VA pay, and they were so afraid of their house being foreclosed on, and went through the process with USA Cares, applied, went through the triage. I ended up getting the case, ended up working worked with the bank to get that payment taken care of, along with a couple of other bills. There were some utilities involved in a car payment. And when I called the person back to say, hey, congratulations, the board approved you, their reaction was, automatic. Oh my God, are you serious? First, we get a lot of that. Are you serious? You're going to pay everything. Well, it's not always everything.
Yeah.
You're going to pay how much?
Yeah.
their shock. And then their next reaction or their question to me was, well, when do I have to start paying this back? They didn't realize it was a grant and that they didn't have to pay it back. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just the relief in this person's voice was just, you don't have to pay this back ever. This is a grant, a gift.
Yeah.
To thank you for your service. So,
Unbelievable.
Yeah, just tears.
Gives you
can hear.
chills. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really does. And to hear any of those calls, that's a powerful moment for sure.
It is.
And it's why we do what we do, right?
It is. And then you also hear the ones that are just absolutely desperate. They need help, but and of course we have some guidelines that you have to fit into for other situations. You have to have a qualifying medical hardship or military connected hardship within a 12-month period in some cases. And if you don't meet that, but you're still this many months behind on these bills, if we can't help in a situation, then you can feel just that defeat and it makes you feel horrible because you want to help, but we have the rules that we have to play by. So it's kind of you walk a fine line with.
Anybody who's ever been, and I'm sure everybody's at some point been kind of that rock bottom moment where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this moment. I don't know how I'm going to battle through this. And then somebody comes along and helps you out.
Yeah.
It's like just the biggest weight lifted, just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
And you get to do that for people all the time.
It's almost like I don't want to sound, you almost go on autopilot now where you do it so often that it's, it's just very automatic.
Yep.
We had one guy, you wanted me to come with stories, so I have another story for you.
Hey, yeah.
I love it.
I figure we ought to talk on this thing. So.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. So one of the things that we see a lot now, at least right now, are rents and mortgages. So evictions have been a big thing. And there is an eviction law firm in Florida who I've worked 3 cases with in the past month. So each time the veteran sends their paperwork in, it's like almost to that point where, hey, we're almost there. It's in the court system, and this is the lawyer who's handling it. And I end up having to get on the phone with them. Hey, can we work this out with a complex? Can you work this with me? And his paralegal, bless her heart, I think she knows me by name now. Hi, it's me again. But this poor veteran, another one of those applications where there's absolutely rock bottom, had no clue where to go, had spent, I want to say 21 years maybe, serving their country. And everything happened the way it happened when they retired. And, here comes the eviction notice. And they had just begun to get their retirement pay, their disability pay, but it wasn't enough all at once to cover that past due amount with their rental. And this veteran was packing their boxes to prepare to move out of their apartment because it was that close, and that far into the process. So we got it worked out where they had to pay a certain amount. We paid the rest. And when I called the veteran to say, hey, your apartment complex and the law firm, they're going to work with you. If you can pay this, you can stay in your home. And it was like, I don't have to move after all. Just
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It was a good one.
It's really wild because you're dealing with a population that does not like to do this. The worst thing in the world is to have to call and ask for help.
I heard that yesterday.
Really? What'd they say?
I've never had to ask for help like this before. It's they almost feel kind of like ashamed and just scared. Yeah. And it's, that's where you have to kind of put that empathy in there and put them at ease and, it's okay. That's what we're here for. You can ask us and we'll see what we can do. We can't promise anything, obviously, but we'll do what we can to.
And that's a common thing because, how many times have we talked to people who won't even get help from the VA? They've earned these VA benefits, but they don't want to ask the VA for help either. They just, it's pride, I guess, but it's tough. Do you find that people ever want to try to figure out how to give it back?
There have been several cases, yes. They will say, when I'm back on my feet, tell me how I can, how do I get, volunteer? Can I donate? I'll do what I can to help out. And I'm, just start a chapter, join a chapter, volunteer, spread the word. You don't have to pay us back. That's not what we're here for. Pay it forward by sharing your story or, just what USA Cares does to help veterans. That's for payment enough.
We've had a couple of, I look through our donor logs looking for stories and just looking for, things to talk about USA Cares. And I've noticed that there are quite a few of our, monthly donors who are previous clients.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a cool thing.
Yep. Yeah. So like you have the client and the donor story, and that's their why. And it's neat to have that come, full circle.
Yeah.
The other end of this is when the part you'll never know is the impact, the process that you may have stopped for them that was going on in their head.
Yeah.
And in this conversation that we had last week with this person, he said October 6th. And I said, what's October 6th? He goes, that's the day I decided I was going to die.
Oh, God.
He said everything was spiraling out of control. That was the day that I had decided that I was going to do this. And I took 100 pills and I drank a bottle of whiskey and I went to bed. And miraculously, he lived.
He's still here.
And, he pulled through. And now he's trying to encourage other people that there is a way through. There is your mission. Just because you're not in the military anymore, your mission isn't done.
Right.
And you've still got work to do as long as you're here. And he's a good advocate for that. But I don't think people realize when we're headed down this path, when you're already dealing with PTSD, when you're already dealing with depression and mental illness, and then you start stacking on, oh, by the way, you're going to lose your home.
Yeah, you
and
have
oh,
light
by the
bills
way,
too.
your kids have to go live with somebody else. And
Right.
oh, by the way, it's
It's just a mountain of, what else can you pile on?
It seems insurmountable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. But there is a way through, and it's a season, and it's a time of life. But there is a whole wonderful life on the other side.
And you just have to, to be that far down and not being able to see the way through. I think that is where it's so important to find or have somebody help you see that way through. Because when you have already made your mind up and that's it, that's going to be it.
That's it, I'm done.
You can't see anything else. And, we're certainly not a mental health professional.
Yep.
And, I don't know what that is like, but just knowing that there is a way through.
Right.
And to reach out.
Yeah.
To anybody, like somewhere you can find it.
Just a little thread of hope. And if we can be that thread of hope for them, it's
a great feeling.
It's, I think more so for them, I don't want to take the role of, that savior complex or anything.
Right.
I know. I'm trying to be humble.
Yeah.
But it's, you if somebody is their life is saved because of, a simple act of keeping their lights on or their house, in place or their car from being taken from the driveway, then, that's knowing that they can go on and take care of their family is, it's important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's that one that sticks out to you? That one person that, because I've heard all these. Alexis came in one day and she's like, I was standing in their room and they were working on this thing like frantically trying to get this. I think it was a car payment.
Yeah, it was $2,500 car. The car was in repossession. And I think you all.
And you're like, I'm ready to give them my credit card and just have them pay this thing.
Because you couldn't, I don't know, it was right when there was an ice storm here and this perfect storm of all of these. Yeah. Walmart was closed.
It was
customer service was
a crap storm.
That was
terrible.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was just, on the edge of my seat, like, how is this going to turn out?
Yeah. That was the day that was actually the first day that Alexis asked me to be on the podcast. And I was like, what? Yeah, that was
really
my case.
Not a good time right now.
Well, we were almost there, and then that clearly took precedent. But
a little crazy. Yeah, that was actually. Oh God, all the stores were about to be shut down for this impending ice storm. Yeah, I remember that actually. Marlo and I were trying to, figure out which store we could get this money order specifically or MoneyGram, I think.
Because you couldn't
They
just
couldn't-
send the money.
Right.
You had to go
and
through.
they wouldn't take a corporate card
No.
because we've
Yeah.
got different ways that we can
Right,
pay.
to pay.
and- Yeah.
So we were scurrying around from the J-Town Walmart to the Kroger over on Taylorsville Road. And then we stopped and we're like, okay, last ditch effort. It's after hours, but we've got to get this guy his car so he can pick it up by tomorrow before the ice storm hits them and us. And she lives, kind of close to where I live. So we're like, we're going to try the Walmart down near Fort Knox and Radcliffe, and we're going to see. And they were open. Thank God.
Yeah.
And she was there doing the payment, the register, and I'm running in behind her trying to figure out where she is on the phone. Marlo, where are you?
Wow.
And it turned out she was like, I'm right here. I got it. We're good.
Well, that was so cool to me because people will never understand the amount of work that goes into resolving some of these cases for these veterans.
And it's not always as easy as, let me just.
Let me push a couple buttons. Yeah.
Yeah.
But tracking these down, dealing with the attorneys, and that's what
car
you
repo
all do.
companies.
Yeah, the car repo companies.
Oh, man.
Those don't seem like they'd be very nice either.
Jerry has a great one he just dealt with. That's probably the hardest one, I think, is the repos, because each car company is different. It's a nightmare. But you have to do what you have to do to make sure.
Because if they don't have the car, they go to work.
Right.
They don't go to work, they don't get paid.
Right.
Then they lose their house.
Kids
Then
can't
they
get a
have-
doctor's appointments.
It's just,
Right.
it's the beginning of the spiral.
Yeah,
So,
if they're already living in their car, that's their.
yeah.
That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good point too. Sometimes you just keep the car for housing, sadly.
Yeah.
But
So that was definitely, but he got his car back. So
good.
Yeah.
It turned out.
That's
It did turn out. It was great. It was good. It was good.
That's so cool. What was it about this that surprised you coming in?
Oh wow, gosh. Throw me on the spot there, Matt.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of the podcast is to throw questions at you. I throw
asked the
questions,
hard
you answer
question,
the
Alexis.
questions.
He asked the hard
Same,
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually the talkative one. I really have to think about that. I would say the amount of self-care that I have to actually watch with myself, because this can take an emotional toll on you.
That's true.
Dealing with a lot of this, when you can't help people, or when you've just spent all day frantically trying to help someone, and you're done, you're driving home, and you're like, okay, I have to unwind,
Decompress.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for the drive that I have right now, because it's turn on the radio and I can, jam out to some music, or, put on
A podcast.
Yes, Matt, a podcast. Which,
Not ours. I mean, somebody else's.
no,
but
I actually do like ours. Ours is great.
Or you can listen to the Bourbon Road podcast, which is a really good podcast.
Everyone loves bourbon.
Yeah.
I think
that's a
most
good
people.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah. It's,
Alexis doesn't.
Well,
We had an episode with them when they came in and did a little tasting, and Alexis was a little not too much of a fan.
okay.
I tasted it.
Yeah. But you made that face you made. Yeah.
I tried not to. My face is loud.
There's a good
my voice
camera
is
shot
loud.
of that one.
Is it? Did you
Oh,
get
yeah.
a close up on that, Robert?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's going to be the new cover.
He's like, here's
Alexis.
a really rare bourbon. It's really delicious. It's been aged 20 years. And she's like, this is really good.
Thank you.
What was it? Do you guys remember what it was?
It was Old Fitzgerald.
Old Fitz, yeah.
Old Fitz. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's not horrible.
I don't know.
it was good. But shout out to the Bourbon Road podcast, who's
Yes.
donating lots of bottles to our gala so that Robert can do more bourbon pole tickets. Right, Robert?
That's correct.
Making lots of people happy with that.
So let's talk about Alexis, help me here with this. Let's talk about career transition for a minute, because I think one of the, again, I'm not a veteran, so I'm kind of an observer to this, but career transition coming out of the military, I guess I always thought in my simple little brain, people come out of the military, this is great, I'm going to retire, and then there are all these companies that want to hire me, and I ride off into the sunset and everything is rosy. Not the case.
Not the case.
Not the
It
case.
never is.
No.
It's never easy.
It's never that cut and dry,
Yeah,
is it?
Not always.
Why? Why are so many people finding themselves in these difficult situations where
Oh.
these transitions are so hard?
I think if you spend that long in the military, and this is just me, purely from speculation and observing, just from what I see every day, and here coming home from the other side every day.
Yep.
A lot of them spend so many years in this structured environment where it has to be just so. And you're going from that to basically the civilian world, which is like the wild, wild west, where each company has different criteria, different rules, different expectations. Nothing is that set in stone. You don't have this reg for that, this reg for this. And sometimes it's a little hard to fit that military, that military job into a civilian role and expect the same amount of, structure or cohesion sometimes. It's a big surprise. And sometimes jobs just aren't available where you are, which is another.
Yeah, it's
like underemployment is something that we don't really talk about a lot. You
Nope.
know, we talk about unemployment, but in a research for an article that I wrote.
oh my gosh.
All right, Alexis.
Wow. A little self-promotion here.
Underemployment is
Yeah.
another like big factor or just, challenge people coming or transitioning out of the military
So
or finding
true.
they're like, I was a colonel for gosh
Well-
sakes, or I was an E7.
And if we're
That's a big high
being
one.
extremely transparent for a moment, there's a lot of companies who take advantage of the veterans coming out.
There are.
And they will make them feel like they're not as valuable as they are, and they will underpay them coming out. I had a company come in right after I started. Company comes and sees us, and they want to hire veterans. We want to support our veterans. We want to hire our veterans.
Great.
And we're going
Yes.
to pay them $13.50 an hour.
Wait, what?
How much?
And I'm like, what?
No.
And I'm like, they can make more than that at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah,
Why
you
would
can-
they? Why?
Why would
And
they
it's
go out of their
that,
way
but it's
for
that
it?
feeling of I can get them on the cheap.
It happens more often than we realize.
It's sad. It really is. And I think it's so important. And I think part of what you guys do is you make the veteran realize their worth.
We try.
That's so
we
important.
try. One of the biggest things that you have to keep in mind when you're talking to them, especially, is treat them how you would want to be treated. Treat them with respect, with dignity. A lot of them,
With the situation in
Yes.
mind and everything that's happening. Yeah.
it takes a lot to reach out and ask for help in the first place. So
Yeah.
make sure you're keeping that in mind when you're, don't belittle them. Don't, how'd you get into this situation in the first place? Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And everybody makes bad decisions at times, and everybody
all do.
finds themselves. Some of us get lucky and it doesn't blow up in our face, and others it blows up in our face. So you never know.
Right.
But yeah, that's tough. And that sense of purpose is so important. I remember the first veteran we had that I saw send us a check for $500, and he had a note written on it, and it said, I was desperate for $500 and you guys gave it to me. This has taken me 5 years to be able to pay this back,
Oh,
but I
wow.
wanted to send it in.
That's awesome.
And it was so cool. And I remember thinking he's getting himself back again now, I'm sure that felt really good to write that check. So
Yeah.
it's cool. And I hope that people who are in these transition moments in these difficult times are getting that sense of purpose back, that sense of themselves back. And hope you're helping with that.
We try
So-
our best.
That's so cool.
I'm going to ask an unpopular question.
Oh, good.
Come on, Alexis, throw it at me. It's okay.
Well, you talked about the not having a savior complex, and I think it's important to tell a full story. Like we can't help everybody, and
No.
that's just heartbreaking. Do you have any stories, or just anybody that sticks out in your mind that we couldn't help?
Oh boy, hold
know.
on. Let me look through the notes here.
Yeah, like I hate to do that, but like I think it's still important
No.
for people to know that we can't help every single person
Right.
that comes in, and
Yeah.
there's always for me, I internalize everything and I dwell, and it just
That's
like
me. Yeah.
I'm always in my head about it, and if there's something that I'm like, man, I wish I could have done more, or
Right.
like wish. How could we do this? Trying to figure it out
All the time.
is there
Can we
one?
like revamp the system to kind of, maybe make an exception?
Yeah.
And you can't. Probably one of the biggest ones. We get a lot of female veterans who do apply, who have experienced, MST, which is military sexual trauma. So they have PTSD, anxiety, just trauma issues from that. And dealing with cases where that is involved, it's hard in the first place because, they're struggling to deal with all of that that's happened to them. But if they don't meet the criteria for the guidelines that we have, if it hasn't caused a job loss within 12 months or they're not a recent 12-month military transition, out, then we have to turn them away and give them other resources. We don't ever just flat out close the door on people. We always, give resources for other options that might have, other guidelines different than what we have. But to have to turn someone down because, they're hurting, they need help.
Mm-hmm.
One that definitely sticks out in my mind was one that, we have, I hate to say it like this, we have, service characterizations that you have to meet. You have to either have, general under honorable conditions or an honorable discharge. Those are the only two that we can work with. So if your DD 214 states anything besides that, then that's an automatic disqualifier, and we have no say in turning that one down. And when I had to do that, I felt like the biggest piece of crap on the planet. I got called every name in the book from this individual, which was it. It's understandable and it's okay. I have thick skin. I can take it. We're good.
Yeah.
But you still feel kind of.
You feel for them.
Yeah. They need help, but we can't.
Right.
And you always go back and think, what could we do differently to help?
Well,
What
and
can
those
change?
criteria are there because we just, unfortunately, we don't have the funding
Can't help
to
everyone,
help everybody. And so at some point, there's got to be a line drawn. And, people ask me all the time, why do you only help post 9/11 veterans? It's because we can't afford to help everybody.
Right.
I'd love to help every Vietnam veteran,
absolutely.
Everybody who served between now and then.
Yeah.
And we'd be out of business real quick.
I mean,
and so
If we found that large donor,
yeah,
or multiple large donors, or those endowment donors that can, be a
Perpetual donor.
sustainable form of income, then maybe we could do that. But
a perpetual gift of $1 million would be wonderful.
yes,
I'm going to pull a trace right there.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody has a checkbook
several
out.
millions, right?
But yeah, it's funny for us. So if you look at the information on USA Cares, we're roughly a $2.5 million organization, I think, last year. In order for us to help everybody that reaches out to us for help, we need to be a $10 million organization or more,
because I can tell you, and you guys don't see this, our list of daily triages that come in, the applicants, it can vary anywhere from in the teens to 40, 50 people. And that's in one day that are reaching out for help.
Wow.
And that's just online. That's not the ones that call in the answering service. So it's the need is there. The funding, we're trying.
Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. Anything else that you want people to know about what we're doing? What you're doing, I shouldn't say
Oh
we.
my gosh.
You. I'm just the idiot who sits here. So you're doing the important work.
Just know that we're doing everything that we can when we can.
Yeah.
To help our servicemen and women. It's so important to give back to them and make sure that they know that they are valued and thanked and honored. Because I couldn't have gone out and. I mean, I could have, but I don't like people yelling at me first of all. So that was always my.
I would not do well. I would just be like,
yeah.
Matt yells at me every day, and I still cry.
Wow. Okay, that's another episode.
Man.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a therapy episode.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
How do we get yelled at?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot to unpack here. I think there's a lot to help people realize the situation with our veterans, first of all, who are calling in. Why are so many people calling, needing help? That's something in and of itself. And I think mental health has a lot to do with that.
Big chunk.
And just the focus that we need on mental health. And thankfully, the VA is doing a much better job. I feel like they're taking it much more seriously, but there's still work to be done.
There is.
But it's a big entity, and the ship doesn't turn quickly. So,
no, it doesn't.
but there's a lot of good people within the VA doing a lot of good work. So
They're trying.
Yep. Absolutely. If you're listening and you're like, well, that's not really me. There's nobody in my family who's really going through those situations. That's great. That's wonderful. But maybe it's time for you to help the ones that are. And it's a reason. If it's not USA Cares, then give to another nonprofit, military nonprofit. But there's so many people that are in a bad situation. And we need your help. We need you to come alongside us and make a decision as an individual or as a family that you're going to support this cause, because people are dying. And I don't say that lightly. People always throw around this 22 a day. We even talk about it on our run. But the reality is it's closer to like 30.
Yeah. It's all
and the number of active duty military people that are taking their lives is skyrocketing. And now is the time to help. When we're looking at images of Ukraine on the TV every single day, that doesn't help the PTSD issues. So it's no wonder that your call numbers are going up and going up.
Yeah.
And those invisible wounds are just being reopened
Absolutely.
every single time.
Yeah, every time. So, Becca, thanks for what you do. Thanks for being on here.
It's an honor to do it.
Yep.
How do you feel?
I survived.
Well, we're still recording.
Oh my gosh. I had no clue, Matt.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we're not quite done yet. Any last things you want people to know before we wrap up?
You know what? I just have to echo what you said. If you're going to give, USA Cares is my first choice. But anything military connected, definitely do it. Definitely consider it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. That's.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
we'll get
You're
Marlo
welcome.
on here at some point.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that
she's
journey
listening
for
to
her.
this right now, and she's like, nope, I will not.
I'm going to get back to the
Not
office,
doing
and
it.
she's going to just give me the, what? Where are you volunteering me?
Let her know that we talked about her.
I'll tell the
So.
whole team.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Alexis, we've got a number of other guests coming up. I think you're hosting a couple of these by yourself coming up, aren't you?
Wrong.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Becca will probably guest host here one of these days, but no?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Only if Alexis does it.
But, just know that the point of this podcast is to share some stories and to give people kind of a platform to get to voice their concerns, to voice their stories. There's a lot of healing and a lot of hope involved in a lot of this. So I hope that you will tune in each week. Hit that subscribe button, make it part of your weekly routine. Check out usacares.org to learn more about our organization. Alexis, if they want to, I don't know, get on Facebook, get on something else, where are we?
We're all over the social media. So we want to continue to boost our reach. So give us a like and or a follow on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I tweet, not often, but I tweet. And check out our YouTube page too. Sometimes.
Absolutely. And maybe you're in a situation where you're like, I really don't have any money to give right now. Then help us out. Be an advocate. Get on social media and share these stories and help promote. There's a lot of need out there, and there's always a way for you to help.
And that's the easiest way. Easiest way you can do that.
Finally, the other way to get involved is by chapters. So on usacares.org, there's a little chapters tab. Hit it. Try to find a chapter that's near you. If there is one near you, get involved today. Just reach out to them. Say that you want to become a member and help them reach their communities. If there isn't one near you, let's get one started. Reach out to Jenny Davis, jenny@usacares.org, and let her know that you want to get something going in your community. But really is the easiest way to go. Robert, who helps us out with our podcast every day, is part of the Kentucky chapter, and they're doing great work. So thank you, Robert. And to wrap up, we should mention our good friends at the Speakeasy Podcast Network.
Of course we should.
Why don't you tell us about them, Alexis?
Well, the Speakeasy Podcast Network makes this podcast happen every single week, and we could not be more grateful and thankful to them for all of the guidance and the just professionalism that they bring to this podcast. So if you are a company or you just regular as a person
Semi-professional.
want to have a podcast and talk every week about what you know,
Yeah.
they say that's what they say, talk about what you know.
That's it.
Reach out to them. You can find them.
SpeakeasyNetwork.com. I almost said .org, but it's .com. SpeakeasyNetwork.com.
Yep.
Check them out. They really are the best. If you are looking at doing a podcast, these are the people to reach out to. So, all right. Well, Becca, thank you. Alexis, appreciate it. It's been fun.
Always.
And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.